Khalas. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We are live. Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Brothers and sisters in Islam, I hope all of you are doing well, inshaAllah. And to all of our non-Muslim friends and family that may be watching, I hope all of you are doing well as well. So, brothers and sisters, all of you may have seen what is going on around the world right now, specifically in America, in the UK. America has been very vocal, subhanAllah, about what's been happening. And it's been an issue, it's safe to say, for many, many years, for centuries. Issues to do with racism. Recently, we saw with the killing, inhumane killing of a man named George Floyd in America. This sparked a whole outrage nationwide in America and also internationally, where many, many people are coming out and they're expressing their condolences, they're expressing their support for the Black Lives Matter movement. And many, many people are just trying to be vocal about this whole thing to avoid and to basically tackle, tackle this issue that's with me today. I have our brother Abubakr Islam. Many of you may have seen him online, and he's been very vocal about what's been happening as well over the last few days. Assalamu alaikum, bro.
Assalamu rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah, akhi, man. I'm doing very, very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Alhamdulillah, man. Just managing, bro. You know how it is. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, it's good to see you, bro. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. I know you've been active, on the whole topic, etc. It's a very sensitive topic as well. So I wanted to get you to speak about it, inshallah, and ask some questions, for the benefit of many of our viewers as well. So I'll just start off very, very briefly with, what are your thoughts as someone from London, as a black male from London, about what's happening in America and what's been going on for many, many years with the, the police brutality and all of this issue, this pressing issue. What are your thoughts on it?
Before we get into the main topic, I just want to say, as a black person, I don't want anyone to feel like I'm speaking on behalf of the whole black community. All I can speak about is what I've experienced and what I've seen through my own lens. Now, if you talk about the police brutality that's happening in America, like it's been happening for decades, and it's something that people know all around the world. With the phenomenon of like social media and technology, a lot of the things that's been happening for decades are now coming right direct into your face, in your bedroom, right in front of your eyes. And I feel like it's got to the stage whereby many people are starting to see what's been happening to black people for decades. And I think recently, with the recent death of George Floyd, I think it's got to the boiling point where people just feel like they've just had enough. There's many other cases that you could mention where the situation was even worse than what we saw the other day. But I just think because everyone saw the actual video footage, it affected everyone, people who are black, people who are white, from every race, because, no human being deserves to be killed in that type of way, number one. Number two, when you look at the police are an institution who's there to protect you, to protect your lives. In hindsight, that's what the police is there for. So when you see the people who are meant to be protecting you when you're in harm, when you're in danger, when you're going through a bad situation, they're the people you're meant to call. To see them doing that to another human being, it elevates it to a whole nother level. Especially when you're talking about it in regards to a country like America, United States of America. That's a superpower of the world. Some may expect some of these type of things to happen in some places in the world, but to see this happening in the United States of America, the biggest so-called democracy in the world, the country of freedom of speech, the country of rights, the country of meant to be your human rights is protected to the maximum level. To see that happening there, I think it's affected people a lot more. So for me personally, as a black person, obviously I've seen this my whole life growing up. I've experienced it. I've seen it with my own eyes, and I think with what's happened with George Floyd, it's even brought the experiences of black people here in the UK. Because one of the things what's not being mentioned enough is that a lot of people, not only are there there's riots in the UK, in America, there's also riots going on in the UK. And not only is there riots going on in the UK, there's also riots going on in France and other countries around the world, because everybody's coming together with the same intention that the police brutality, enough is enough. So like what you mentioned, it's not easy. It's not easy seeing these things, you know, when you have to watch it with your own eyes, when you have family, when you know people who've experienced it, when you've been, you know, you've been stopped and searched by police and it's been spoken to in a very rude manner, being dealt with in an aggressive way. You know, when all of these experiences are brought to the light, for majority of people who have suffered racism, it affects them. It affects them, and it brings up your own experience. When you see George Floyd and other people be murdered, you start, you know, looking at your own experiences and think about the things that you've been through personally with the police, and it's very detrimental. So I feel like with all this situation, what's happened, we've got to a stage where people have just said, you know what, enough's enough, and something's just got to give. You know.
You know what the thing is as well, bro. You see a lot of people reacting to what's happening in different ways, and a lot of people comment on the reaction as well. And the thing is right now it's just become like a boiling pot where, you know, people are saying so many things, etc. And it's a thing where reactions are very, very different. People are reacting in different ways. And subhanallah, I just feel like personally, you know, from my personal take on seeing everything, is that instead of being so quick to react, you know, to comment on the way people are reacting, we need to look at the issue. You know, we need to actually look at the issue and take a stand on the issue. You know, it's not a thing where, you know, when we see people going through suffering, the right thing to do right now is not to focus on the way they're reacting to that suffering, you know. So it's a very sensitive issue, as we've mentioned, subhanallah. We know, akhi, that racism is very much present in the Muslim community. This is not a secret. You know, you spoke about this on your Instagram a couple of days ago. And you went live and there was many people watching you. Many people were sharing it. You know, I told people to watch it as well, because it's a very real thing. It's an issue in the community. Now, we're going to speak about whether the community actually reflects Islam's views on racism. We're going to speak about that, inshallah, towards the end. And I do recommend, you know, if there's any non-Muslims watching, to stay present for that. But before that, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, do you feel like the issue of race, has affected the way that black people, the black community, view Muslims in general, right? Because obviously, if some Muslims, you know, pockets of some Muslims, for whatever reason, cultural reasons or whatever it is, are racist towards black people, perhaps that brings about a response where black people may feel like, hang on a second, Muslims are racist, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen this sentiment in the black community?
Well, I think you brought up a very important point, because if I use myself as an example, growing up in South London, I wasn't a born Muslim. I became a Muslim, and many of the people in my community, many of the people that I grew up with, they questioned me becoming a Muslim and accepting Islam. One of the biggest problems that we see in the black community, I would say here in the UK, is that they feel like Islam is a racist religion. Islam enslaves the black people. Islam belittles black people and tries to control black people. And this is a big misconception, because obviously Islam is nothing. It's none of these things. But this is what they see. This is what they hear, and this is what they've been told about Islam. And there's many reasons behind that. Now, entering the Muslim community, you know, when you learn about the religion of Islam, the things that you're taught about Islam, I feel like if you are open-minded, it's very difficult for you not to accept Islam, because I feel Islam is a religion of justice. Islam is a religion of peace. Islam is a religion of understanding. You know, I think Islam covers every aspect of life. And I think that's vital for somebody who's searching, who's looking for the right path, that all the questions that you want have been answered, you know. And Islam, it gives you that sakina, that trust, that peace, that you're entering into the right path. But one of the things a lot of people are not warned about is the way the Muslims understand Islam. So you tend to see Muslims doing many things that has nothing to do with Islam. And the way the media portray Islam, people start thinking that The actions of the Muslims is what Islam teaches. And this is the biggest problem. Because I had a friend who was telling me the same things that you're saying, that we were mentioning now, that why would you become a Muslim? Muslim enslaves black people, puts down black people, etc., etc., etc. And I explained to him, I said to him, listen, nobody put a gun to my head and said I should become a Muslim. I accept Islam. I accepted Islam wholeheartedly, freely. And the main reason why I accepted Islam, because I looked into the religion. I never looked at the examples of the Muslim. Because if I saw the example of the Muslim and how many Muslims were behaving, it would have personally, it would have put me off Islam. 100%. And I feel like in the black community here in the UK, a lot of the non-Muslim black people don't know a lot about Islam, or the information they get about Islam is not correct. That's why for me, myself, sometimes people might say, why do I talk about racism? I think it's important for me to talk about racism, because even people in my own community say, you're a Muslim, you see racism amongst the Muslim. How come you don't say anything about it? Even you yourself, you can't mention it. So this is why I have to speak about these things and let people know, even in my community, yes, there is racism in the Muslim community, but the religion of Islam is not racist. And I think it's important for us to emphasize that, because sometimes as well, even we can take some of the blame for this. A lot of the black brothers and sisters may be going through racism, but they don't express it, or maybe they don't have a platform to share it on. So where an individual like myself, who might have a small platform, I try to address it, but in a way with wisdom, because we know Islam is not a racist religion. There's no doubt about that. You understand? Because if it was, I wouldn't be a Muslim, and many other black people who have accepted Islam wouldn't be Muslims. But the misconceptions about Islam in the black community is rife, if I'm honest with you. Because look how many countries you can go to, you will find many black Muslims. Many countries in Africa and around the world, there's millions and millions and millions of black Muslims. Yes. Even you look about the education, if you look into education in Islam, you will see that there was many black people who were known figures in the religion of Islam. But many people are not taught about these things, Musa. So this is one of the problems. So for us, for me, myself, I do have a responsibility to the community to address some things to a degree, to show that there is a problem, but to make people know you have to distinguish between the two. Islam and Muslims is not the same. And I think that's important. And if we encourage these discussions, friendly discussions as well, we're not talking about abusing one another, attacking one another, putting down one another. No, we're just saying have friendly discussion, and let's talk about some of the issues that we have in the Muslim community, because Islam is perfect. It's such a beautiful religion. It's a religion that will refine any human being, you know. But if we don't discuss some of the flaws that we have in our community, then how are we going to push forward, Musa? You know, this is one big problem. And, you know, it's my duty as well to speak about it, but it's also the duty of the Muslim community, because we say we're one ummah, we say we're all together, so then we should address our issues together and help one another, so that these misconceptions, this information that is being spread amongst different communities about Muslims can be rectified, and people can understand the real message of Islam. So this is what we're trying to do, Musa. At the end of the day, alhamdulillah, many people in the black community have accepted Islam. Many people, and you know this, many people, alhamdulillah, but many people are put off Islam, bro. I remember I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and he was like, you remember one time he was walking down the street and one black guy came up to him and he said, oh, how could you accept Islam? How could you be a Muslim? They're always racist and saying racist things. And he had to have a dialogue with this individual, explain to him, listen, just because you see a few Muslims doing something doesn't mean that this is what the religion preaches. And this is what we encourage. Look at what the religion preaches. Don't look at what Muslims do individually. And I think this is an important factor, you know. But definitely, like what you said, Musa, there is a lot of, for us, we get a lot of criticism in our community because a lot of these issues do not get addressed. And this is why I'm always calling out imams, people of knowledge, please address these issues. Please address these issues, so we can prove to people and say, look, you see, the people in the Muslim community are addressing these issues. They're not belittling these issues. They're understanding that this is something serious, you know, and this is something that's affecting people's lives. So the more we have people who are in stronghold positions in the Muslim community to come out and speak about these things, then slowly, inshallah, things will improve and people will get a clearer message of the religion of Islam. But if we don't do that, bro, we're always going to be stuck in this bubble, and people are going to be in denial and go on like it's not an issue. This is why we encourage imams, speak about this on the minbar, because then in the minbar, the whole community is listening. You're the person who stands in front of the whole community. Everybody listens, nobody talks. But if nobody's addressing these issues in the minbar, people see it as it's not something relevant, it's not something that's really happening, you know? So this is why we encourage it, Musa. This is a discussion that's very important. It needs to be done based on knowledge, you know, it needs to be done based on facts. And we need to spread this to the wider communities to let them understand the real message of Islam and the difference between Islam and Muslims, you know?
You know, I think, Abu Bakr, on this, Jazakallah khair, I think you've provided a lot of insight, especially because, look, one of the issues that I think you'll agree with as well, is that there is also this gap in terms of knowledge, right? Where Muslims who are raised, for example, in any type of Muslim household, etc., they're not educated about what the black people have actually gone through, right? So, for example, me, myself, this year, part of my study was to do with slavery, race, black history, right? And Akhi, I tell you, bro, you know, and I was saying this just earlier on to another brother as well. I've never cried when reading a book, but when I was reading 12 Years a Slave by Solomon Northup, his slave memoir, I cried, Akhi. I cried because I'm thinking, Akhi, this is a human being. You know, he tells a story, and I mean, I don't want to make the whole thing about it, but it just come to my mind, where he tells a story about a woman called Eliza and how she was a slave, right? And she was a black slave. And people have painted, Akhi Abu Bakr, this has affected people so much in their heart that they've painted depictions of this very incident, bro, that I'm about to tell you. Where this lady, bro, Solomon Northup, he says, I went to this place where our slave master was going to sell us, and Eliza was with us. She had two children. One of our children was a boy called Randall, right? And he said that Randall was sold to a different slave. Akhi, there's no phones, nothing. He's never going to see his mother ever again. Yeah, she says she's going ballistic. A man comes to buy us. His name was William Ford. The man, he saw the hysteria that she was in. He offered to buy her and her daughter now that remained. To save her from the punishment she's going through, he said, Khalas, you know, I'm gonna buy the daughter as well. Right? You know what the slave master said, Akhi? He said, no, I'm not selling them together. I'm selling them separately. They will do things like this intentionally, bro. And Solomon
systematic, bro. Systematic.
Bro, and as he goes on in the story, he says, one day they return to the slave cabin. Eliza was lying there dead, lifeless. She's dead. She could not survive because she's lost both of her children. She's never going to see them again. So when people talk about black suffering, Akhi, they don't realize what they've gone. So when some ignorant people, when they look at what's happening now, even if they look at the riots, they'll be like, why is this happening? Why are they behaving like this? Akhi, you don't know what they've been through. You know, it's like, to me, even when I'm seeing, you know, some of the buildings burning, I'm not justifying it, but I'm saying I'm not surprised when I see that, you know. So it's subhanAllah, it's a big issue that we need to, as Muslims, whatever country you come from, you need to educate yourself about this issue, because it's a big issue. They say that 10 million slaves being transported across the transatlantic slave trade. One historian I was reading, he said that's a small estimate. 10 million is a small estimate. So, and it's bigger than this, Akhi. Now it's systematic, as you mentioned. There's systematic racism happening. We need to learn about it.
And so, just to add one point to that, it's so important for us to learn about this history, and even to go a bit further than that and learn about before slavery, because one of the sad things is it's like a lot of people think that black people's history started from slavery, and this is far from the truth. You understand? Black people got a whole big history before all of that. And until people educate themselves and realize the position and the things that, you know, like you said, black people went through, and even before slavery, you would see that you would look at it from a whole different perspective. But education is the key, because even myself going to school, bro, they didn't teach us about any of these things. You think I learned about people like Mansa Musa and all these type of people when I was at school? Never learned about these people. I only learned about from when slavery. So even me growing up as a black person, you think that my history started from slavery. There was nothing before that. Do you understand? And that's far from the truth. So education is the key, bro. If we educate ourselves, then inshallah we will come out of this ignorance, inshallah.
100%. So in turn, from what you mentioned earlier, Abu Bakr, with the black community, them seeing this, etc., racism from Muslims, not Islam. We're going to talk about Islam, but from Muslims, right? Now, the consequences obviously would directly affect dawah towards black people, right? So what do you feel like are the solutions for this issue? It's a very sensitive thing. So sometimes Muslims may feel like, who do want to speak about it, what can we say about it? And also sometimes black Muslims as well, they may be listening to us right now, where they feel like, how can we deal with this issue in our community? How can we give dawah to our people and explain to them Islam is not like this?
I think like the main thing is education is the key, bro. At the end of the day, like we have many black brothers in the community who are in our communities giving dawah to our people, and many people are accepting Islam. And even for the ones who are not accepting Islam, at least they're being educated to understand the religion of Islam doesn't preach these things. And I think the most important thing, like I mentioned before, is dialogue, bro. Because the miscommunication, the understanding of Islam in the black community is, I can't say in totality the black community, but I say here in the UK, most of the black people that I come across, a lot of them don't really seem to take Islam too serious, and the picture they've got Islam is not very good. So I think one of the most important things, and I think the only solution, is education. You know, spreading the dawah, having dialogues, having discussions, letting people know about Islam. And one of the things I notice is, you know, even me, I'll be honest with you, even me, I can tell you a story. Before I became a Muslim, when one of my friends became a Muslim, I was like, how could a Muslim become Asian? That was the first. I mean, how can a black person become Asian? Because that's all I knew. I didn't know Islam is a religion. I just attributed it to a community or a particular people, you know. And a lot of people see it that way. You know, they might see, oh, it's maybe Asian religion or Arab religion or what have you. But we know that's far from the truth, you know, because Islam accommodates all race, all backgrounds. But a lot of people don't know that, you know. Like, think of it, a country like Nigeria has got over people, I think I was reading the other day, maybe over 50 million Muslims. You would never understand that. There's more Muslims in Africa than there is in Saudi Arabia. So people will think that, would never understand that. Do you get what I mean? But until you have these dialogues and you research, you know, you would never know. Like, there's more Muslims in Malaysia than there is in Saudi Arabia. Like, how? You know, but if you never did some basic research, you would say that's impossible. You know, so I just think, bro, dialogue, discussion, you know, dawah, let people know what the real message of Islam preaches. But the best thing we can do as a community is be dawah ourselves. You know, we have to be careful because, bro, like I said to you, I see so many things people do online on social media and they don't think. It's like what you said. When it comes to this racism and all this thing, it's such a sensitive topic, you know. Think before you speak. You don't need to rush to comment. You know, some people come out and say things. Why? You don't, just take your time, think about it. It's like, bro, I see some stuff what happens around the world, even as a Muslim. Let's say, for example, I see some stuff what happens, Muslims being oppressed in some countries. I don't come out and speak because I don't know what's going on there. So I might see an individual that I trust in yourself, who I know, mashallah, this person's a knowledgeable person, or even if they're not a knowledgeable person, someone that I trust, and they might put out some information about what's going on. Share it. I'll share it, but I'm not gonna come out and start talking about things I don't know, you know, or no, it's not like that, or it should be like this, etc., etc. And you know, even one thing I don't understand, and I think it's really, I think it's really strange that some of us become so insensitive. You know, like, let me give you an example. With all this scenario and all this stuff going on, I see some brothers, and sisters coming out saying, "Oh, why don't we have that same energy for like Palestine and Syria?" And I just find this absolutely shocking for many reasons. One, ever since I come to the Deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I don't think there's been a year that we don't hear about Gaza or Syria. I don't think there's been a year that we don't have fundraising, we have campaigns, we have marches and all these type of things about what's going on over there. And everybody gets involved. There's times where everyone online is changing their display pictures to different colors. Everybody comes involved. Imagine at that time, somebody came out like myself and came and said, okay, why don't we have the same energy for the Muslims in Mali or the Muslims in Niger being murdered, like the black Muslims there? Well, what would people say? They'll say this guy is insensitive, you know? So even if you see these things happening, you know, you should think to yourself, is this correct for me to say that? You know, collectively, we've seen everyone around the world coming together for this cause. You understand? Even if you yourself, you don't understand the cause, you don't believe in the cause, keep quiet. Just keep quiet. That's all. But for you to say insensitive things like that, I don't think that's fair, Musa. You know, I don't think that's fair. You know, some injustice is being brought to everyone's intention, and then you want to divert it. And you know what surprised me? One last thing I wanted to say, Musa. The other day when I saw the picture, yeah, of the man, I don't know if I think his name's Abdulaziz. He drew a picture in Syria of the guy George Floyd. But you know what puzzled me the most, Musa? When you look behind the picture, where he done the picture, you can see the whole place has been bombed. The whole place, he's done it in a war zone. It's not like he was doing it in some safe place where by loads of children and families were there. He was doing it in a place where it was a war zone. Even what happened to George Floyd affected him. And he said that when he saw the video of him saying he can't breathe, he reflected on when some young children in Syria were bombed. I don't know if it was chemical bombs or something like that. And the young kids were saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. SubhanAllah. You know, people who are going through an injustice could even relate to that. You know, and then we have people like ourselves who are comfortable. The majority of us, we're safe in our homes here. You know, we're online, we can post whatever we want, we've got food, we've got water, we're comfortable. And then we come out with insensitive things like that. So like what you said, Musa, at the start, it's so important. Let's think before we speak. We don't need to rush to comment. If you don't understand something, try and understand, you know, and be sensitive. And think that this topic is very sensitive. People have been living with this for their whole lives, you know. Imagine, Musa, your whole life being reminded the color. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy, you know. And listen, I get it. I get it, Musa. Maybe somebody's watching this, they don't understand that. I get it. I'm not forcing you to understand that. But if you don't understand it, keep quiet. Keep quiet, educate yourself, understand what people are going through. Don't comment based on emotions. Don't comment based on emotions. Imagine people's lives are being taken just for the color of their skin. How can you not be affected by that? How? You know, this has got nothing to do with religion, anything. This is just on the base of someone's skin. You know, in a country whereby it's the biggest democracy in the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's meant to be the example of the world. When you talk about the president of the United States, he's the most powerful man on earth. You know, so like, Musa, it's difficult. It's difficult, you know, because we try to express these things, but when people don't, you know, some people are just so insensitive, you know, and it's like, wallah, it's like sometimes it's like they refuse to understand. They refuse to understand, bro. And it's not easy, Aki, man. I don't know how best to explain it, but it's really difficult, bro. Honestly.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Like even just now when you were speaking, I became emotional, bro, because you know what goes through your head, bro? What goes through your head is that how can people actually be like this? How can people actually think like this? Because, and I was saying it to a brother, Allah is my witness. I was expressing it to a brother earlier, where just today, and we came across someone from a specific culture, you know, etc. that said something, okay, and this person, this person was from Akhi. He said something, yeah, and what I said to the brother is, Akhi, for me, it's not an issue of this is your people talking about country. For me, Islam means more to me, Akhi. Allah is my witness, wallahi al-azim, Akhi. Allah is my witness. Islam means more to me. If someone from my country is saying something that's wrong, Akhi, Akhi, let's just give an example. If someone from my country is not a Muslim, Akhi, that person is not my brother. Akhi, you are my brother before that person. That's Islam. That when you are a Muslim, it baffles me that Muslims can even comment in such ways on this. I've seen, Akhi, as you mentioned, bro, I've seen some Muslims saying some, Akhi, you see Muslims saying illogical things, Akhi.
Crazy stuff, bro.
Bro, you're like, where, okay, you know what? Fine, you're ignorant. Where did you get the guts to even talk like that from?
I'm telling you.
You know, like you're ignorant. You're ignorant, fine. But subhanAllah, like the fact that you have the confidence to even say that online, Allahu Akbar. Like that actually shows the situation that we live in, bro. It shows it.
Bro, and you see, like you said, like that. Just think before you speak. All right, let me give you a prime example. The other day, a brother put out a video, and let's not mention that video. Anyway, I posted something online, and then a brother responded on another thread, and he was like, I don't care about any disbeliever who's any black disbeliever. You know, like that's not my business. My loyalty or some crap like that is with the Muslim. Okay, fine. I'm reading this and I'm thinking to myself, subhanAllah, what? Where did you get this type of understanding from? Like, because nowhere in the religion of Islam teaches you to behave or speak in this way. Allah Ta'ala has made it clear, taking one life unjustly is like killing the whole of mankind. Allah didn't say taking a Muslim's life. You understand? Allah didn't say taking a Muslim's life. He said taking one person's life, anyone, man, woman, don't matter what religion you are, taking their life unjustly is like killing the whole of mankind. This is one section of what we're talking about. Also, we know we have many people who are in the religion of Islam who have family members, yeah, who are not Muslim. So he's saying, you got these individuals coming up saying, I don't care if anyone who passes away who's not a Muslim. I have a mother. I have a mother who's not a Muslim. So how does that make me feel? You understand? We have many brothers and sisters who are in the same situation. We have mothers, brothers, sisters who don't believe in Islam, you know, who don't believe in the same message that we believe in. So now you have someone who's meant to be my brother or my sister speaking like that. How am I supposed to feel when I meet with this person? Am I meant to sit and eat and drink and say this person's my brother and he feels like that towards my mother or my brother or my sister? How can this be? You know, and this is why it all falls down to education. It's not about how big your beard is, how long your phobe is, you know, how it's all about education and understanding the religion, bro. It's so important, you know, because the deen doesn't teach us to be like this. The deen is a religion of mercy. The Islam teaches us, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, came as a mercy to mankind. He came as a mercy to mankind. And you can see many examples of the life in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People done stuff to him. He never done nothing back to them. When he was in a position of power, where he could have took revenge, he could have done anything he wanted. Nobody could have stopped him. He forgave them. This is what Islam teaches us. So, like you said, Musa, when you hear people saying these things and they have no care in the world, and they come out on social media and they say it, and you just look back and think, what's going through this person's mind? What's like? What are they thinking? What are they reading? Where do they understand this type of Islam to make them come out and see this? Because there's nowhere in the text what teaches you to be like this. There's nowhere in the religion of Islam encourages a person to behave like this. So what is going through your mind to be so to be this way? You know, so it, like you said, it baffles me, bro. I don't get it, man. Like, it confuses me that individuals come out and say things like this because I don't know what they're reading. You know, I don't know what they're reading, bro. So, well, it's difficult, bro. It's difficult.
It's difficult, bro. It's difficult. Yeah, man. You know, we've touched upon it a lot, and I want to actually like spend time speaking on this specifically, which is racism from an Islamic perspective. And I mean, from your studies, from your experience, etc. How does Islam deal with racism?
Bro, Islam kills racism fast. There's no, like, bro, even you know what's crazy? Like, even the title that you just mentioned, racism from an Islam perspective, don't make no sense. That's dead. There's nowhere in Islam that propagates racism. There's nowhere in the religion of Islam that encourages racism. You know, even Allah has told us, Allah does not look at your color, does not look at your body. Allah Ta'ala looks at your heart. This is what Islam teaches us. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Prophet of Allah, on his final sermon, he mentioned racism. What did he say? There's no difference between an Arab and a non-Arab. There's no difference between a black man and a white man. The only difference between mankind is our good deeds, our actions.
God consciousness.
Can you imagine the God consciousness, being close to God? This is it. There's no way in the religion what teaches you that you're from this tribe, you're from this lineage, and you're better than us. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, taught us that anybody who thinks they're better than anyone is in the state of jahiliyyah. What is jahiliyyah? They're in a state of ignorance, you know? So Islam cuts that off completely. And you can mention examples after examples after examples. Any single person who looks into the religion of Islam will know Islam is colorless. The black man, the white man, you're from Asia, you're from Africa, you're from Arabia. It doesn't make any difference. It is not going to benefit you when you die. It's not going to benefit you when you meet your Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to what we believe. It's not going to benefit you, you know. But then what the problem is that we have many Muslims who were born into the religion of Islam, right? And they've adopted their culture so much, even them themselves cannot tell the difference between Islam and culture. And you see many brothers and sisters, mashallah, tabarakallah, when they start researching and learning Islam more, they start saying, you know what, I used to do X, Y, and Z. I used to think it was part of Islam, but it's got nothing to do with Islam. It was all part of my culture. But this all falls back to what? Studying. That's why many of us, who, when we become Muslim, we learn about these things because we don't want to think about the thing. You understand? So we're starting from scratch, learning about Tawheed, learning about the oneness of Allah, learning about the religion, learning about who Allah is, who Allah isn't, learning about the Prophet, who he is and who he isn't. This is something that we enjoy to learn about. But many of us who are born into the religion, they've been taught certain things from a young age, and they cannot distinguish the two, you know? So that's why you see a lot of people adopting things from their culture, attributing it with the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is one of the biggest problems that I've personally seen myself. Because we've seen too many people doing things that's got nothing to do with the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they think it has. They think it has. But when you look in the text, you will not find no proof. You will never find it in the Quran. You will never find it in a hadith. But it's something that their mother taught them, something that their father taught them. So this is one of the biggest problems. This is why we encourage, learn. Not everybody has to be a scholar, Musa. We're not saying that. It's not for everyone, bro. Not everybody has to be a student of knowledge. But we have to know the fundamentals. We have to at least know what our religion teaches. Because listen, Musa, check this out. You will never come across a Muslim and ask them, can you be racist and be a Muslim? I don't think you will find one Muslim who will tell you yes.
You won't. Even the racist ones will tell you no.
Thank you. They will tell you the same thing. They will tell you the same thing. But the problem is, they've been brought up a certain way. Their culture has affected them so much that they do things that is racist they didn't even realize anymore, because it's become the norm. That's why we encourage, take yourself out of your shell, reflect, look at the text, look what's happening in society, and ask yourself these things. Like, I had a brother message me the other day, and may Allah bless this man. He said to me, bro, after listening to your live the other day, I acknowledged something about myself. I acknowledged that me, myself, not intentionally, that I'm inclined, I am kind of racist. And just reflecting on what you said, it made me question myself. And when I started questioning myself, I realized some of the flaws that was never put in front of me. And I said, subhanAllah, look at that. How many of us are like this, bro? Many of us are like this. They don't even realize that me, myself, I've got some implications of being racist. Like, for example, Musa, how many times I said to brothers, have you sat in your house and heard your mother, your father, your siblings being racist and you don't say anything? Many brothers and sisters say, I hear it all the time, because it becomes the norm and it affects them, whereby they don't even realize that they're encouraging their own behavior in their own household. You understand what I mean, Musa? It's a problem. And I'm not saying that you're intentionally racist because of that. No, of course not. But imagine your mother, your father, every day has a word what puts down black people, for example.
Yeah.
You know these words. Like the other day when I was on my live, I said to the brothers and sisters, I said, do you have a word in your culture that puts down black people? I put on the comments, yes. How do you know this stuff? How do you know this stuff then? How do you know this stuff?
Because you've heard it.
You've heard it. So how do you know this stuff? And I always ask, we were having a discussion the other day and I asked some brothers, some black brothers I know, I said, in your culture, do you have any word that puts down people from other race? And I'm not saying I can't talk on behalf of everyone in the world, but I couldn't find one person who said yes. Musa, I don't know one, my mom, my dad, I've never heard them use a word that puts down somebody from another race. I don't know that. I don't know it, bro. I don't know it. Yes, I know words that put down people from other races. I'm not saying I don't, but it's words that I've learned here from people. Do you know what I'm trying to say to you? But like my family, the other people from my race who have made up these words, no. So this is what I tell people. We just need to reflect, Musa. You know, we're all part of the problem. I'm not saying that it's just a solo thing. No, we're all collectively a part of the problem. But until we sort out what's going on in our own households, yeah, between our own family, our siblings, we don't have the right to go around and be telling the world what they should do. And that's why I mentioned the important point that the day also. I said, I saw some public figures, imams, people of knowledge coming out talking about this issue, what happened, how it's wrong, how it's incorrect, blah, 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 etc., etc., etc. I said, that's all good. That's all good. But why don't you address the issues of racism in our own community? You don't see that as a problem. So, okay, you see people, the police and people from other races being racist in America and around the world. You see that as a problem. But you don't see the racism in our own community as a problem. How can that be? How can that be possible when we know it's rife in our community? So this is one of the things we're trying to address. You know, Allah Ta'ala says you will never change the condition of people until they change the condition of themselves. Yeah. So until we reflect and look at this, how are we going to improve? You know?
Shall I tell you something, Abubakr? That I think a lot of people, first of all, I think from a cultural perspective, it comes from the actual culture, right?
Yeah.
But from a person perspective, that culture obviously goes into people, right? Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is because I'll give you my example now. I was born and raised just like you in London, right?
So, I wasn't born in London though, but yeah, I was raised in London. Yeah.
You were raised in London, yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
You know what I mean? Okay, come on.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So basically, I'm born and raised in London now, yeah. So when I went to primary school, I remember there was a guy in my class called Yi. He was Chinese. I remember I used to get bullied by two kids. I won't mention where they're from because obviously it's a sensitive subject, yeah. But I remember there was one black boy who was my friend. He was my friend. His name was Ray Kwan. He came and he backed me, yeah. And I remember that to this day, yeah. And I was going through racism with those two kids. They was calling me certain derogatory things. And this guy came and he backed me. Perhaps maybe he had been through it as well, right? Now, my point is, from primary to secondary to college to university, I've only been around mixed races. When you grow up in London, you're around different cultures, whether you like it or not. But the issue is not in that now. The issue is when you go home. When you go home, you need to correct what you're hearing, yeah? Because sometimes the people who are at home, they've come from a different country, and in their country, it is only their race.
100%.
You understand? So I feel like personally, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, inshallah, racism, the issue will get better and better as our generations go forward and forward, because we live in lands that are very mixed, yeah? So when people are dehumanized in front of them, like George Floyd, they look at that and they say, hang on a second, that's wrong. Because that person's a human being. And I know people who are like him who are human beings. Yeah. The issue is from separation. It's from, I mean, there's many books on this, but othering. When you say those people are the other, we are us, right? That's where the issue comes. And subhanAllah, amazingly, this is for any non-Muslims or even Muslims watching who don't know this, Islam doesn't otherize anyone.
100%.
Islam says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, that the believers are our brothers. Yeah. Now the way Islam does it is Islam, even the mushrikun and the kuffar, it doesn't otherize them either because it invites them.
100%.
So this is something that we need to understand for all of the brothers and sisters watching. And me, look, as someone who's from the Pakistani background, there is racism that exists within my culture. It is my job to deal with that in my family. If we all done that, bi'idhnillah, will be fine.
You know, one point I wanted to mention though, it's important as well, like you said, for everyone to speak to their own people in their household, etc., about this topic. But one of the misconceptions that we have now is that a lot of people, especially like going back to the Muslim community, they always love to say that, for example, the racism comes from the elders. And this is not the truth, bro. This is not the truth. Because many times things have happened online. You're on social media, I'm on social media, and we sift through the comments and we see it. I don't want to mention it, I can even bring an example I just saw just yesterday of a brother that we both know made a video on another podcast like similar to this. And bro, when I saw the comments, I was shocked. I was shocked. And bro, there's no uncles on there, there's no aunties on there. It's young people. You understand? And the racist slurs and stuff they were saying, subhanAllah, I was really shocked. You know, so I think we need to look at ourselves. We need to look at ourselves first and stop making this excuse that it's the elders, it's the older generation, because it's not just the older generation, it's us as well, Musa. It's us as well. We have a problem. We have a problem. And until we admit that problem, how can we move forward? How can we change? You know? So I just wanted to put that in there, because too many people like to associate that. That's the first one. The second point I want to mention, I think this point is very important. One of the things that I've noticed ever since I came to the deen of Allah, anytime I mention racism, bro, to the Muslim community, the first thing people say to me is because of marriage. This is the topic number one.
Yeah.
You got rejected from marriage from maybe someone from a particular background because they're saying black people can't marry into certain particular background. Wallahi, this is not true. Myself, me personally, I don't know any brothers personally who have tried to marry into a background and they said they can't marry, the family rejected them because they're black. I don't know. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because there is people, I've seen stories of it, but that's not my cry. Let me tell you why, Musa. And for anyone watching this, I can understand, that a family might want their child to marry maybe someone into a particular background because of their culture, because of their upbringing, because of how the family is united. I can give you an example. Some people marry and they move in with their in-laws. Some people, when they want to get married, some of their families can't speak English, so they want somebody who can speak the same language as them.
And
so
it's
they
not
can
racist.
It's not racism, bro. It's not racism. That's why, Musa, I hate to bring that topic together, because there's so many other factors that we haven't explored. So it's easy for us to say, oh, it might be deemed as racism, but I'm unsure about that. Unless there's clear proof that someone says, I don't want to marry this person because of their skin complexion, there's so many other factors that we can explore. I ain't talking about that when I'm talking about racism, bro. I'm talking about going in masajids, being treated differently.
Yeah.
Not having my speech, my word considered. Not being able to be put into certain positions, not being able to be part of certain committees. I'm talking about that type of stuff, being treated differently based on my race. That's what I'm talking about, because when you talk about marriage, well, there's too many windows that can open. Do you understand what I'm trying to say to you? So I hate bringing the two together. And once you attribute racism with marriage, it takes away everything. Because everybody just starts thinking there's no racism. Muslims aren't racist. The only problem is that he wanted to marry into the family and didn't accept them. That's why I hate it, bro. I hate it, Musa, when people bring the two together. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, and I'm not belittling the problem. But the issue is greater than that. The issue is greater than that. And I think every single one of the people who are watching that, please try and understand my point. Let's not associate the two, There's so many other factors that you can speak about when it comes to marriage. We're talking about racism in general, being treated different because of your race, entering the massages, not being put in positions, not being listened to. And anytime, our situations come to the front, nobody doesn't want to deal with them, Musa. And this is another thing I wanted to mention. When we have youth projects, when we have programs going on, they always want to invite us. Musa, coming to the youth. The youth can relate to you better. They understand. They tell us the stories, bro. But as soon as we say to them, okay, can you speak about the issue of racism? No, brother, it's not the time. It's not the right time for that. Let's speak about it. This is what we're talking about. So this is my prayer, And we can use examples after examples of, people being abused in the Muslim community in regards to racism. But I just think collectively, all of us, I'm not talking about people on this other side, all of us together as a ummah need to come together, deal with this issue, discuss it, and try and root it out. We know it's not an easy topic. It's not something that we're just gonna say today, Musa, and it's gonna vanish tomorrow. It's not that simple, you know. But let's have these discussions, like you mentioned before. Go home, speak to your mum, speak to your dad, speak about racism, see how they understand it. Maybe they misinformed about certain things, you know. Like, one more thing, if you don't mind me, Musa. Like,
go for it, bro.
Okay. The other day, a brother left a comment on the thread. Okay. Yeah. So the brother goes, and this is why it upsets me, honestly, when we talk about the marriage situation, because it deflects the real problem. So a brother goes the other day on my comments, he goes, you got to understand, when a black brother with tattoos, yeah, what did he say? With tattoos and something, wants to come and marry, with tattoos, and who hasn't got a degree, wants to come and marry into their family, they're old school, they're not going to accept that. What kind of stereotype is that, bro? Like, what type of stereotype is that? A black brother with tattoos, and he's not educated yet, wants to come and marry somebody in your family. What do you, like, these people are old school. Like, what do you expect them to think? They're not going to accept that. They want someone with a degree and stuff. What kind of stereotype is that? And I said to the brother, I said, this is the problem. Look what you're saying. A brother who hasn't got a degree, who's got tattoos. Why is that in your mind? What makes you think a black brother's coming? He has tattoos. He doesn't have a degree. This is the stereotypes, and this is some of the things that a lot of our parents have been teaching us from a young age. Black people are scary. Black people are aggressive. Black people will rob you. Black people will bully you. This is some of the things that have been drummed into our heads. And growing up here, it's been put into our psyche. So even some of the people, even my age and your age, they have these thoughts in their mind, Musa. Because they grew up thinking these things. I've had brothers personally, good brothers, may Allah bless them, give them good, have told me personally, bro, you know, their families have put that scare factor into their mind about black people, you know? So until we address this issue, bro, then how is it possible that we can move forward? You know? It's not easy, man. Don't know what to say, bro.
And bro, I just think we need to understand that the effects of this racism, akhi, because a lot of people, it's all good and well, akhi, like us talking about one, but a lot of people don't understand the consequences, bro. You see, the consequences of racism from a historic perspective, akhi, has been abuse. It has been death. Right now, you may think it's a thought. Right now, you know, if you're refusing someone for marriage based on their race, right now you may just think it's marriage. Right now, if you don't want to, you know, be as close to that brother or whatnot, or you feel distant from that brother because of race, or you feel like, or because he's got tattoos, you feel sent, or because you're scared of him, whatnot. Right now, it's a thought, akhi. But very soon, when things start happening, when things start getting real, when stuff hits the fan, bro, then you know what happens? Oh, those people are like that. Oh,
thank you.
Yeah, do you get it? So, for example, right now, I guarantee you, akhi, people will see black people responding in the way they're responding, and you know what they'll say? Look, they're like that.
100%. This is evidence for them now.
And historically speaking, akhi, this happened in other places. In India, when the Indian mutiny happened, akhi, what did they say? The British, they said, they proved to us that they're backwards in evolution. Look at how they're responding to us. We're trying to civilize them. And look at how they're reacting. They're reacting by attacking us. These people, this is proof that these people are barbaric.
See?
Do you understand? Akhi, the amount of dehumanization, akhi, that you will read, akhi, is shocking, akhi. It's shocking. Like,
and you know what, people know this. Like, even you look at the example of that lady the other day. I don't know. I'm not sure if her name was Amy Cooper, the one who was in the park with her dog. When the guy asked her to put her dog on a leash, she went crazy, and he filmed. I don't know if you saw that video footage.
I don't think
so. Basically, she called the police. While she was in front of him, and said, "There's an Afro-American guy or whatever here abusing me." Da, 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 da. But if you see the way she spoke to him before, she's like, "I want to call the police." She's confident. He hasn't done anything. She's confident that I know I can call 999. When the police come, because of my skin complexion, they're going to believe what I'm saying. And there's a possibility just from that 999, bro, this person can lose their life. This is the society that we're living in, bro. You know, that a person could be so confident they can call the number that's meant to be protect people from all race, all religions, all backgrounds, but they know that when they pull up, they're gonna side with me. And when, bro, you know, I've always known this, but when seeing it, bro, is something else. Like, you know something, you grow up, you see it, you see the racism, blah, 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 blah. But when you actually see it on a video, someone saying, okay, watch, I'm gonna call the police. Watch what's gonna happen to you. Imagine, Musa, like, you see that with your own eyes. It kills you, because even when you saw the guy's family come out, they're saying if the police came, maybe he would have lost his life. It's too easy, bro. It's too easy, Musa. You know,
Aki, I
so
personally know people, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you personally know people, and I personally know people. I was in a gathering the other day. One of the brothers, he said, if I had an issue, I would not call the police. I would not call the police. Akhi. So this is the thing. Now, a lot of people who haven't had that experience with the police, you know what they think, Akhi? They genuinely look at this from as an outside perspective, guys.
Yeah.
And it just comes back to educating yourself. Educate
100%.
yourself to what people's experiences are, etc. And I understand, like, bro, Abubakr, I understand that if I go to a certain place and a certain gathering, I will be fine. I will fit in. And I understand if you went to that same gathering, you will not fit in. You understand? And this is an issue, and it needs to be dealt with. And it needs to. And if you are genuine, because a lot of people talk about their token black friend or their black wife or whatnot. They talk about it, right? Yeah.
Or they say Bilal radiallahu anhu. You call that again. That's the best one. That's like we need to what do you call it? Put this on our walls, bro. Like us brothers, we sit there and we see racist discussion. We know what's gonna pop up next. Wait a minute, bro. Bilal, you called that Adnan. That's all you know, bro. If all you know is Bilal radiallahu anhu, then you're part of the problem. If that's all you know. And I always say to people, like, listen, especially in the Muslim community, I say, okay, when you want to refer to racism, why don't you use other examples? Why don't you use Musa alayhi salam, who majority of the Quran is about, who spoke to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala direct? Why don't you mention him as an example then? You don't want to mention that. Why don't you mention the woman who breastfed Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Why don't you mention that? Why don't you mention these things? And you know what shocked me was, my brother said to me one time that, you know, he said to me, a lot of people like to use Bilal because they associate him with being a slave, you know, and they feel like them using that as an example is like a justification for them. This is not my words, this is what I was told to me. And I just find it surprising that anytime a topic of racism comes up, that's the only person they can bring to the table, when there's many examples of people that you could use who are in the religion of Islam and in the Quran as examples, but they never refer to these individuals. So the main key, like I was explaining from the start to the end, is education, you know. And Musa, listen to this now.
Yeah.
A black person will come and say, okay, where was there a prophet or messenger from your country, from your background? What would you say? You would say, what kind of ignorant statement is that? You never see us black Muslims using these type of terms, like Musa was black, this person was black. We never say it because it don't mean nothing to us. We come into the religion. It doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't mean anything. Like, we come in wholeheartedly. We come in colorless. We don't look at that, bro. You know what I mean? We don't look at that. But people will remind us about our race and where we're from. That's why we don't understand it. You know, you never see us coming out and using these examples and mentioning these things. Musa was this. When do you see people come? When do you see people doing that? We don't do it. You know, because to us it doesn't mean anything. When we meet Allah Ta'ala, your color, your race, your lineage ain't gonna help you. You know, so just something that I want everyone to reflect on. You know, because it's definitely a problem, and every black person knows that. You say Bilal, we all know Bilal. I don't think you might find a black Muslim doesn't know who Bilal is. You know, so I don't think that's the only example we can always use when we're proving that we're not racist.
Bro, there's a point that people need to understand as well, and this is more for non-Muslims that may be watching, that Islam, they were Muslim slaves in the transatlantic. They were Muslim slaves. One of them was a scholar, he was a sheikh, akhi, Ayub bin Sulaiman, right? Job Ben Solomon. In Google, his picture will come up. Akhi, if I'm not mistaken, akhi, he astounded his owners with his knowledge, akhi, where they were like, yo, like, we actually have to respect this guy. His Quran, his Mus'haf was recently sold in one of the London auctions. It was either, I think it was Sotheby's. They auctioned his Quran. My dad is very passionate about this stuff, like history, and he's very attached to Africa, as I'm sure you know as well, Akhi. He loves it, yeah? He wanted to go and buy that, Akhi. And the thing is, as Muslims, I guarantee you, the people that bought that, Akhi, I guarantee you, I wouldn't be surprised if it was not a black person nor a Muslim. And this is the thing, we have to educate ourselves. That's it. That's it. I mean, there's so much. I think we could go about this for another hour, Akhi, honestly. But there's so much we want to say. I think we've addressed everything that we wanted to discuss. And I think an important point you mentioned, which is that the prophet that is addressed the most in the Quran is Musa alayhi salam. Now, we don't mention this because we feel we don't need to. But just look at where Musa alayhi salam was from. Just look at where Isa alayhi salam was from. Allah says in the Quran, وَلِكُلِّ قَوْمٍ هَادٍ, that to each people was sent a guide. Ya akhi, each people, right? So we need to understand this as Muslims, that every single type of people was sent a prophet. They were sent a guide. They were sent a messenger. You know, they were sent a guide at least. So brothers, just to clarify, they were sent a guide. So we need to understand this, and we need to, you know, take the ignorance out of us. It's not about marriage. It's more than marriage.
It's not about marriage. And I really want everyone to stop using this as an excuse. And I even say it to brothers that I know who might post up. I say, please, let's not use the marriage as an example. It's a bad example. It's a bad example. It doesn't help our cause. It doesn't get us anywhere, and it keeps people stuck in the bubble. Rather, let's have sensible conversations that doesn't offend anyone, but brings the reality of the problem to the surface, so people can reflect on the situation. And as a ummah, as we are meant to be one ummah, collectively, we can come together and solve this problem, inshaAllah.
Inshallah. And we have to just, as Muslims, the last thing I'll say is that we have to just try and be balanced. You know, we have 100%. To just try and be balanced in the face of all of the adversity. You know, one of the my favorite sheikh, if you ask anyone that knows me very well, is Sheikh Abu Osama al-Dhahabi, right? From Birmingham. Yeah. The reason I like the way he speaks is because he's very balanced. He's very balanced, right? And I mean, that's all I needed to say. Abubakr, any last words for all of the people watching? We got around 300 people watching us live right now. So any words for them?
No, I would just say, like, for example, if there's like for non-Muslims who may be watching, one thing I would say is that definitely look into the religion of Islam. You know, many of us have come from different backgrounds, good backgrounds, bad backgrounds, and Islam has refined us into different human beings. You know, if you look at the history of Islam, even if you look at so many of the Muslims here in the UK who have lived crazy lifestyles, and now they're individuals who are upright, trying to help people in their communities, trying to help people around the world. This is what the religion of Islam does. And not only that, when you look at Islam, you see it's for everyone. It's for everyone. It's the religion for everyone. But you have to look at the real source. Don't use Muslims as an example. That's the worst thing you can do, honestly. Because I keep telling people this, and many people will ask me about Islam. I say to them, if I ever done that to myself, if I used Muslims as an example, in totality, I never would have became a Muslim. Even though, alhamdulillah, the brothers who actually gave me dawah, they were very good examples for me. But I'm saying, when you start looking at things now, especially if you're not a Muslim, you've got social media, you see so much bad press about Muslims. So my advice to every single one of them, this is a general message: look at the religion of Islam. And for the people in the black community as well, look at the religion of Islam. Even if you don't want to accept Islam, that's fine. You know, that's everyone to themselves. But just to understand that Islam is not a religion what enslaves people, what belittles black people. Wallah, it's not the truth. I swear to God, it's not the truth. If it was, me, myself, I wouldn't be a Muslim. The second advice I would say is that for all our Muslims, all the people who are already Muslim, try to be a bit sensitive, and, you know, be considerate to the cause at hand right now. Yes, you might see this Black Lives Matter, all these type of different things thrown around, and it might become a bit too much. There's a lot of different stuff. Even for me, I'm seeing so much stuff I can't keep up, you know. But if you don't understand something, try and educate yourself about it. And until you do educate yourself about it, just don't say anything. Don't say anything, you know, because people are saying things and people are being emotional. I've seen some stuff, bro, online, Musa. You know, people saying some stuff and people reacted in a bad way. I've even seen people that I know, but I don't know them personally, but I know them. I've seen them online acting out of character because of this topic, because this topic, it rips us to shreds. It rips us to pieces. It brings a side out of us that, subhanallah, wallahi, words can't express. Like, bro, Musa, you see, like, me, I would consider myself, I'm not saying I'm a hard person, but I believe I'm not a person who's easy to crack. I don't think people could crack me very easy because of the background and the lifestyle that I live. Like, words, you can say things about me, I can have a reaction. I can give as good as I get. Yeah, I can give back, but to break me, I think it would be difficult for me to say something. But you see this topic of racism, bro, it it mentally puts me in a state that I keep telling people it's not safe. It's not safe. It makes me feel a way that, bro, like, you can cuss me, I could be attacked on the street. It's not like this racism, bro. It's not like that, because imagine, did I decide to be the skin color? I have no control over the matter. The way I look, I have no control. I was born this way. God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created me this way. And you want to criticize me because of that? You want to put me down because of that? You want to put me in a corner because of that? You want to downgrade me because of that? Out of something that I didn't choose. Okay, I make a mistake. I do something. You criticize me. Why did you do this? You did this. You did that. Okay, that's fine. But something was out of my control. You should look into your heart and say, is it correct for me to judge a person because of that? To look down on a person because of that? You know, we have to reflect. We have to reflect. We have to reflect, guys, all of us, you know, the future generation. Many of us have got children. What do you want? What are they gonna be a part of when they come in the Muslim community? Are they gonna see that nobody in our community defends us? You know, many of our kids have to go into certain places. There's no one in there who represents us, who looks like us. Okay, that's fine. That's not the big deal. Because at the end of the day, Islam is for all. We're one ummah. But when you see injustice, you must try and understand and help the cause. You know, if you see me crying about something online, it's not, you don't have the right to come and say that, no way, there's no racism. How do you know that? I used the example the other day, Musa. I said, if I'm telling you right now, Musa, I'm hot, but you're there telling you you're not hot, I'm saying, bro, I am hot. You're like, no, Musa, no, you're not hot, you're not sweaty, you're not hot. But I'm telling you, I feel hot right now. How can you tell me I'm not hot?
Yeah.
How can you tell me I'm not hot?
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, guys, reflect on the situation at hand. Think before you speak. And one last thing a brother said to me, and bro, this really touched me. Because there was an individual who said online the other day, he goes, bro, I'm not racist. I go to Africa. I feed people. I do projects there. This is what the individual said. The brother goes to me, in Islam, we know the Muslims, we don't eat pork. Pork is haram. But when you go with your kids and your family to the zoo, do you not feed the pigs? Don't you give the pigs food? You do. So just because you do these things doesn't mean you're not racist. Just because you might go to Africa or you feed, like, what's your intention behind all that? Does that mean that you're not racist? So all I'm saying is, guys, look, love for your brother what you love for yourself. Let us reflect together. I'm not saying you only, I'm saying me as well. Collectively, let's reflect on the situation and let's try and be a part of the change. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward us. He will give us good if we are part of making things better for the ummah, for the whole Muslim community. Collectively, let's come together, inshallah ta'ala, and let's be a part of this change. That's what I want to say, bro, inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khairan, Abubakr, for joining us on the live stream. You know, when I wanted to talk about this topic with someone, you're the first person that came into my mind. So Jazakallah khairan for coming.
Thank you, bro.
May Allah bless you. And brothers and sisters, I hope you benefited from the video, inshallah, from the live stream. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, do inshallah share it with others so they may benefit from the sentiments shared in this. And I think that Abu Bakr subhanAllah showed a lot of emotion, spoke about some personal experiences, personal experience that he's had with this topic as well. So bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And the last thing that I'll leave it with is just try and change. Let's try and change ourselves, inshaAllah. When we talk about these topics, when Allah speaks about things in the Quran, you're not supposed to look at that and instantly point towards others. Look at yourself, inshaAllah. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And on that note, Jazakumullahu khairan to all of you for watching. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.